Right.
Write
Not as
it
many as the
there.
OPT one.
Yes,
Where is
exactly.
everybody?
So, hello, everybody, and welcome to How to Tuesday. I am Claire, your host from the library. I'm the teaching and learning librarian here at Park. So, How to Tuesday is our weekly webinar series where we give you quick bites of information about how to succeed in college from departments all over campus. So, today we're joined by Catherine from the Office of International Education to talk to us about CPT. Go ahead and take it away, Kathy.
I sure will. Most of you should know me. If you don't know me, and I do want to give a quick plug again at the top, this is specifically for the process through which F1 international students can be authorized to work off campus because they don't have an automatic work authorization. So if you're a US citizen or a green card holder and you're on this call because you thought that maybe this would be where you could learn about, career development, there are other seminars for that that'll be happening later on. We've got it linked in the chat. We can post it again. Um, but that's what we're going to be talking about today because I do see a couple unfamiliar faces or names, I suppose. Not really faces. Everybody's got their names up. So, okay, then we're going to go ahead and dive right in. So, if you're here on this call, then you're an F1 international student. You have an I-20. You're here studying at Park. The rules for CPT are twofold. There are the federal government's requirements for CPT, and there are the ways in which Park University implements those requirements. And some of our requirements are a bit more strict than the government's ones because we want you to be successful in your studies. So in terms of the bare minimum rules and regulations to qualify for CPT, which is curricular practical training, which means off-campus employment, you must be a full-time student for 1 full year of study first. You must secure the training opportunity that is directly related to your major of study, and it must be integral to the school's established curriculum. That's the exact phrasing that the federal government uses. You can find that on their website for study in the States. What that means is we must be able to integrate what you're learning and applying in the practical training opportunity with what you're learning and applying in the classroom. So you're integrating the learning outcomes. Does that make sense to everybody? I know that no one's got their cameras on really to nod, but I'm going to assume that you're all nodding in the darkness. So you have to be a full-time student for a full year first. The training must be directly related to the major of study. The training must be integral to the school's established curriculum. For undergraduate students, you can only work part-time during the school year, which would be 20 hours per week or less. If you're a grad student or if it's the summer break, you could work more than part-time, which would be 21 hours or more. The government considers 21 hours and up to be full-time. CPT is only done 1 semester at a time, so you're going to be, if you're doing a training opportunity integrated into your major, you'd be talking to me very consistently every semester to renew that CPT. A few other things to keep in mind. You do have to have good academic standing, which means that you have to have um, a 3.0 for grad students and I believe a 2.5 for undergraduate students. Y'all should all know if you're in good academic standing, otherwise you'll have a letter. If undergrad students are trying to request full-time CPT during the school year, they have to have a 3.0 or higher and get direct approval from me as the associate director. Um, Yeah, so I'm going to show you guys what the form looks like. Some of you might be familiar already. Pardon me. Just drag you guys over here. Can you guys see my thumbs up? Thumbs up, thumbs up. Yep. Okay. So this is the form that Park uses to ensure that this CPT meets the federal requirements. So you can see up here a bit of what I already talked about. You can't start working at a CPT until you have the I-20, right? So if you've gone through the whole process with me and you get the approval, but you don't have the I-20 yet, maybe I verbally told you that I've heard back from the professor, but I haven't processed it yet. You can't start working, okay? Because CPT cannot be backdated. That's very important. It can be grounds for termination of your record for unauthorized employment. This tells you what you need to give me. Some things that a lot of people miss is that they'll send me a letter from the employer that's just a Word document that just says, hey, this is Steve. I'd like Claire to come and work for me. Thank you. That's not good enough, right? It needs to be a real company with real company letterhead indicating where you're working, what you're doing, when you're starting, the end date if it's a fixed, short-term internship. And the other thing a lot of people forget is to check for the core learning outcomes. The faculty are starting to reject requests that don't include these, so it's really important to include these in your request. If you click this, it will take you to the database where you can look up your class. If your class is not on there, contact me. But that's where you would go. I'm going to skip ahead to the second page here. This is the form that we use. So this is helping you to kind of think about how you're going to integrate the CPT, and it's what we use as a record for any CPTs that you do request and get approval for. You need to tell me who you are, where you're working. Again, you're not working for Steve, right? You're working for uh, UGA Finance or whatever, right? You're working for a company, not for a person. 99 times out of 100. I need the address. I need the zip code. I know some of you come from countries that don't have a zip code. I need that. I need it. I need it. I'm not going to Google it every single time. So please make sure it's included or it might be denied. The employment dates, like I'd mentioned, need to be connected to the semester. So for example, if you got an offer today, you would request a start date maybe on the 1st of April, and it would have to end on May 10th because after that you'd have to renew it, right? You're going to tell me if it's part-time or full-time here. Again, most of the time it's going to be part-time. And then this is where you're going to tell me what course you're using for the integration. For the undergraduate students, make sure that you verify that it's a required course for your major and that it's integral to that major, right? So it can't be a general education class, it can't be an elective that's for your minor or something like that. It has to be a class that's directly contributing to your major. Does everyone understand? Invisible head nods. Fantastic. And then this part's very, very important because this is the part the faculty review, right? I can't know every major. I'm not an expert in every program. This is where you're explaining what you're going to actually be doing. So once you have this filled out, you send this to me along with the offer letter. If the job description's separate, you'll send me the job description and you'll send me the core learning outcomes, right? Once those all come to me, I make sure that everything's filled out correctly. I send that to the faculty for departmental review. So this process can take up to 2 weeks. So that's why we always say give yourself about a 2-week lead time. If you don't have a social security card yet, give yourself about a 4-week lead time because you have to also still go get your social if you get approved. I'm going to pause here because that's the basic process. We can get into more specifics here in a second. Does anybody have any questions for me about the basic process? I saw a few more people hopped on the call. Okay. I don't see any specific questions, so I'll just keep talking about CPT and we'll see. Maybe we'll end early. This is a very stark departure from the OPT info session. This is fun. So like I mentioned, CPT can only be done one semester at a time. So if you have a CPT that got approved as directly related to your major and integral to your curriculum, you would probably get a reminder email from us sometime like around now about renewing your CPT for the summer break. The summer break and the fall semester are connected for CPT purposes, just like winter break and spring semester are connected for CPT purposes. You do have to be enrolled in class before you can get a CPT authorization. So if you're trying to renew it for the summer break and you have a hold on your account, that can cause some issues sometimes. So make sure you're talking to your advisor on the ground floor of her house about your enrollment to make sure you're getting signed up for fall classes on time. Um, you need to keep track of all of your CPTs. That's important for several reasons. You'll need all of those I-20s when you go to apply for your OPT. You'll need to give a copy to the employer. If you ever file for another status, you'll need copies of all of those I-20s. And you need them so you can keep track of any full-time CPT that you do. Because if you do more than 12 months of full-time CPT, which as a reminder is 21 weeks or 21 hours per week or more. So if you're working more than 20 hours per week, that's considered full-time. If that is the case and you exceed 12 months, you lose your OPT eligibility altogether. It's an all or nothing thing. Okay, that was a lot more stuff, so I'm going to pause again. Does anybody have any questions? If I don't hear any questions, I'm going to assume that everyone knows exactly how to apply for CPT and is going to send me a form that's correct every single time.
So, can I ask a question?
Yes, that's what I asked for.
So whenever you're renewing the CPT, when is the right time to ask for a renewal?
I would recommend about 2 months before the current OPT is set to expire. So that's why I said nowish, because class is over on May 10th, so we're about
About
2 months out.
7 weeks
Mm-hmm.
away. So, okay.
Yep, because today's day 2 of spring 2, which means that we're like exactly at 8 weeks.
Yep.
Yep. And the reason I recommend that is because we do have to review, the renewal, confirm that you're enrolled in class, all that fun stuff. What else have you got?
That's about it.
Okay. I'm not going to force y'all to stay here if you don't have any other
May
questions.
maybe I do have one more question.
Sure, what's up?
Not might be directly related to CPT, but I mean to have the CPT you have to be full time. Um, I just found found out that my classes are from 12 to 3 p.m.,
Mm-hmm.
which is an unusual time for
Yep, but it happens sometimes. Some of the grad classes are during the day.
yes. What what would be the best solution for that if you're
So
working?
if you're working full time and you have class during the day, you would need to work with your employer to make sure you can go to class. Because remember the hierarchy of things that are important.
It's being full
First,
time.
well,
Yeah.
first thing is your physical and mental health, right? Second thing is following the government's rules for your studies because F1's a student visa. And then below that comes, CPT work schedules. So it is not considered a valid excuse to miss class to go to your CPT job. And it can
Oh,
cause us to not continue to renew it if you're missing a lot of class.
okay.
So that's a really good question. Okay, well, if no one has any questions, that is the process that Park uses.